There possibly be a $6,000 difference between a Bronco Wildtrak and the Bronco Badlands, and is it worth it? Well, we need to talk about this because right here we've got a Wildtrak. It's a 2023, and finally there actually is a big difference between a Wildtrak and a Badlands. In 2022, arguably the Badlands was the more off-road high-end trim if you added the 2.7 liter and possibly the leather interior, but marine grade vinyl. I actually love it. But the 2023 Wildtrak has Haas 3.0 suspension package as well standard. So you're getting inner and outer beefed up tie rod ends. It's actually resolving some of the issues people have been having off-road with the Bronco, and that of course is under extreme off-roading. The tie rods can snap, so you've got beefed up tie rods, you've got a beefed up steering rack, and while the suspension, I've driven this, it's actually extremely comfortable because essentially this is like my 2019 F-150 Raptor. This has a lot of Raptor DNA in it. The severe heavy-duty steering pinion rack system, well, that's from the Raptor. The tie rods are from the Raptor, resolving a lot of issues. Now let's go down and actually check this out. The suspension is huge. Instead of the Bilstein suspension, you've got the Fox internal bypass system 2.5. So let's check it out. This is actually really impressive. Okay, so let's look underneath the vehicle. Of course, you're now getting the capable bumper. So a lot of this steel here, some plastic still, but a lot of steel. So you get that bumper now as standard, and look at that suspension. Those shocks are not small. Much bigger than the Sasquatch package, and providing it's the diameter, it looks twice as big. So bigger diameter. Look at the beefed up tie rods. So you are getting more comfort, but it is a $6,000 upgrade. But this basically turns it into, well, a baby Raptor. And you know, 2.7 liter twin turbo V6, I think it's an absolutely fantastic engine. I don't see the 3 liter as that much of an upgrade, so I think this is actually well worth the money. You could always tune it and get it up to some Raptor power with a tune. Throw on an exhaust, an air intake, and of course you also get that rear stabilizer bar. So you get the rear stabilizer bar back here. So well worth the money. Nice little view of the shocks again. Really see how that shock is a lot bigger. We're gonna go compare it to a Badlands. So, you know, stay along for the ride. Keep watching, because let's go check out the suspension on a Badlands, which of course has that Haas 2.0. It's the suspension off the Sasquatch. So every Sasquatch package, other than the Wildtrak, has the Haas 2.0, and so does the Badlands. I think if you're going to go, I think the Badlands is a fantastic option to save $6,000. I think it makes a lot of sense. You're gonna save fuel because the Badlands, non-Sasquatch, has smaller tires and a little less lift, so you will get better fuel economy. But if you're not gonna go Badlands, instead of going Sasquatch, I think this is really interesting. This is a baby Raptor. Great value if you're thinking of getting a Raptor but just can't get your hands on one or don't want to spend that insane cash. So this starts off at $58,650, and a Badlands with the 2.7 liter automatic transmission added to it is pretty much exactly $6,000 less. So hopefully this will help make your mind up about your order and whether you're going to change your order or maybe change your mind about the order you're about to put in. While the website does say it comes standard with leather vinyl mixed seats, this has as an option the leather, and this is a 2023. So I think we've got an error on the website. So you want to, when you're ordering, if you want leather, make sure to tell them to add it on. Don't assume that the .com and .ca build and price website is correct. I think you'll still get tissue, but let's head to the order guide. But first, before we do that, it'll be a little more exciting. Let's go check out a Sasquatch Bronco as well as a Badlands non-Sasquatch and check out the difference in those suspensions compared to this. Now let's take a look at the Badlands. It has the Bilstein shocks that are on all the Sasquatch models. Now the Badlands is just a little lower with a smaller tire, this 33, almost a 34 inch, as opposed to the 35. Now these Bilsteins replace the base Hitachi twin tube dampers, and these Bilsteins provide 3 zones of varying dampening rates with nitrogen charged remote reservoirs to bring you in that cool liquid so that you can beat on this all day long. I love it. I've had these on 2 Broncos and just loved how this suspension performed. You know, at either end of the shock, you've got coils to really help you increase the dampening up to 3 to 5 times at what it is in the center. And the center, when you've got the piston inside moving along, is really made to keep you going on those small bumps that you'll encounter on your daily drive. So yes, this can be a mall crawler, bring you to the mall, the grocery store, and that's what the center of the shock is for. But at either end, those extreme ends, you get much harder dampening, 3 to 5 times harder, to help you really not bottom out the vehicle or lose the wheel when you're up in the air. So don't get me wrong, the Sasquatch is made to take you anywhere. So's the Badlands, but is it really worth an extra $6,000? Well, here's the thing. The Fox 2.5 inch internal bypass dampers are huge. It also comes with the Ford Performance Severe Duty upgraded steering rack from the Bronco Raptor. And you get those tie rods that are also upgraded and the rear sway bar. So this thing is more capable, and I really love the article written by Laura Zielinski. She interviewed, and we've got a quote here from the rally team. The Bronco Vehicle Engineering Manager Jamie Groves, after having this tested out at the Rally Nora Mexican 1000 with the Haas 3.0, you know, he did credit the 2.0 for being a great system, but this is where he says there's really a difference. So to quote him from Laura Zielinski's article, so you want to check that out, he says the Haas 3.0 certainly adds a whole extra layer of performance and robustness that we didn't have with the 2.0 last year. Not to diminish how great the Badlands and performance of the 2.0 is, but this system does take it to the next level. Rather than having to drive around the suspension in a lot of cases because of big whoops and ruts and really rough terrain, the Haas 3.0 could take more of that at higher speed. So he was saying it was more fun, more capable, and more durable. Now, let's actually take it to the office, because I actually took these vehicles out for a ride just recently. I drove the Everglades, I drove the Bronco, I drove this Wildtrak with the Haas 3.0, and well, I own 2 Broncos for a year and got another one on order already. So let's jump in the office and let's talk more about this. All right, thanks for dealing with all that noise while we were outside. Want to show that to you live. Now, if you like reading, I've got a treat for you. Do check out this article by Laura Zielinski. Does a fantastic job covering what the Haas 3.0 is. Just really got to point out the great article about this 3.0 suspension going through the desert, comparing to the race last year, the Nora Mexican 1000 race, but comparing that to the race last year. So check out Laura's article, fantastically written, really interesting read. Now let's talk about my impressions. Of course, I didn't take the Everglades as well as the Wildtrak with the 3.0, as well as that Badlands off-road. I've taken my own Broncos off-road and found that the Bilstein 2.0, Haas 2.0 system did a great job. It was comfortable. We've driven those Broncos, each of them, from Canada all the way to Florida. We've driven them on and then back and stopped in North Carolina in the Outer Banks to drive them off-road. The systems were great. But is it worth the money? Well, here's the thing. I did notice a difference driving the Haas 3.0 on a daily drive. It is noticeably more comfortable. But does the 2.0 get the job done? Yes, perfectly. So really where this is going to shine is probably resale value. So I'd say there's going to be a better resale value on the Haas 3.0. And you know, I'm thinking I switch vehicles every year when I love them, 6 months when I find them good, and 3 months when it really hasn't gone that well. So the Wildtrak, Who knows? I always tend to want to try the latest and greatest, but I went with the Wildtrak because I'm thinking it's going to have better resale value. And when I do take it off-road, well, it does have beefed up tie rods, like you can see right here from Laura Zielinski's article. You also have my photos and my video from earlier in the video where we can actually see the tie rods are still, you know, they're they're not huge, but they certainly are bigger on the 3.0. So like the difference I'm not finding is evident. The huge difference is the shock. And the shock, my 2019 Raptor, was unbelievably comfortable, but you do get moved around a bit more with it. Bronco, actually, I didn't notice it being a whole lot more flimsy. It didn't feel like I was being shaken left to right, and actually I took it hard in a corner, and it actually felt, you know, road handling wise, like the Haas 2.0, but I felt the bumps less. So if you've got money and you're not gonna off-road, but you've got money to spend, and you're going to keep it long term, well, maybe you will be happier with the Haas 3.0. But the Haas 2.0, the Bilstein suspension, is fantastic. Now, the Fox was just a level up. It takes something that's great and perfects it. And of course, if you do off-road, your tie rods probably aren't going to break like they might if you're doing, and we're not talking about light off-road, we're talking about some extreme off-road, or if you come off a rock with the wheels turned and the weight of the vehicle comes down on the tire while those wheels are turned, or you come up to a rock and you kind of go too quickly with the wheels turned and you kind of hit the front of a rock, that can, when your wheels turn and it receives pressure, that's not great on the system. But the steering rack system is also severe duty. So that's fantastic. That's also from the Raptor. Now, is the suspension identical to the Bronco Raptor? I'm not sure, but I can tell you it certainly looks a lot like the shocks I had on my F-150 Raptor, and I loved it. I loved driving this Wildtrak with the Haas 3.0 system, but I'll say it again. The 2.0 system really does the job. And if you're only going to do some very light off-roading, heck, the base standard Hitachi shock system is good. I've driven those as well, and I don't have complaints. But I've got a bad back. I injured it years ago. The injury is still there, and that's why I feel this system was worth the extra money plus resale, and heck, it's a baby Raptor. Now, if you really don't think it's worth $6,000, that's okay. I want to hear your opinion. I want you to share it. Let's start a little dialogue, a little debate on the channel here. You know, I'm not, I can get things wrong here. And I did order the Wildtrak, so I put my money where my mouth is, and I've ordered up a Wildtrak. Heck, the system, tried to order it day one, couldn't get through. Tried ordering again, and yesterday, for example, again, the system was down. At first, it was an internal system and at the dealer. Then after that, it was, unfortunately, Webdo, WBDO, putting in the order. But finally, what's interesting about Webdo, I asked for 2 tops, and now the system's not messing around. It won't let a dealer, it wouldn't let, the Webdo system didn't let my dealer put in a request to have both tops. So that's realistic. They're like, this doesn't work. So that's great. So I chose the soft top. I do prefer the look of the hard top. The hard tops now are actually being built well. They look good. The road test with the hard top on that Wildtrak went well. The sound was fine, mind you. There was 2 latches that were left open. So it was actually really, really noisy. So you need to check your top. You need to make sure it's put in properly. But the soft top is just so much easier here because where our weather, it seems to rain pretty darn often, and it can be sunny one moment like it was this afternoon, and just we're in a snowstorm right now. So, and if it was later on in the year, it would be rain. So you can comment whether you prefer the hard top or the soft top. I prefer the hard top's look. I much prefer the soft top's practicality. We've had 2 soft tops. Now, we could have gone with a hard top this time, but Marie would have been less happy. So let me know what you all think. I know I love the practicality of the soft top. Let me know whether you think the Haas 3.0, let's talk about it. Is it worth that $6,000? I'm thinking this year maybe Badlands is the best bang for your buck. Just getting a straight out Badlands I think is the best bang for your buck if you're going to be doing off-road. If you got extra money to spend, go with the Wildtrak. But do remember, Wildtraks, the demand is higher than what Ford can produce. I'm expecting probably having to wait twice as long than if I would have taken that Badlands. Now do stay for or show up for our Monday Night Lives at 7:30, because this Monday Night Live, I'm going to actually be bringing my actual order file to physically show you all what a confirmed order looks like. What is a confirmed and enrolled order? Because if your order is not confirmed and enrolled, you're not going to have any protection on the price. You're not going to have any protection on the interest rate. And you won't have any protection against the dealership maybe asking for a whole lot more for the vehicle once it shows up, or maybe even just selling it to someone completely different than you. Someone who's willing to pay, or an easier customer willing to pay more. So you want to get signatures. I'm going to show you all how to do that, because here at Johnny's Car Care and Reviews, I'm here to help. I'm here to, protect you when you're purchasing your vehicles, and I want to help to save you thousands of dollars and lots of headaches or nightmares. So please do subscribe, hit that bell notification so you're not missing out on any of this important information. Until next time, I wish you all more cars and more power. Take care, everyone, and have a fantastic weekend. See you on this Monday night's live, and do check out JCCR Adventures, because that's our sister channel or brother channel where Marie and I post our fun videos, mostly around vacations or just nonsense we get up to. Take care, everybody.